Salam dear listeners and welcome to Bhajan Classroom from the Sri Sathya Sai Media Center. Today let's learn a bhajan which used to be sung in the divine physical presence of Bhagawan in the 60s and 70s. So this is a Hindi bhajan and there are 6 lines in all. Let's first get familiar with the lyrics of the bhajan.
आओ आओ हे भगवान, सर्व जीवन के कल्याण। आओ आओ हे भगवान, तुम हो परम कृपा के सागर। तुम हो गुण मंदिर नटनागर। तुम हो सत्य सनातन स्वामी। घट घट वासी अंतर्यामी।
Now that we are familiar with the words of the bhajan, let's learn how to sing this bhajan. You will learn the tune of this bhajan now without any musical accompaniments.
This bhajan is being sung in the scale C sharp pancham. For ladies, the scale would be F sharp pancham. आओ आओ हे भगवान, आओ आओ हे भगवान, सर्व जीवन के कल्याण। सर्व जीवन के कल्याण। आओ आओ हे भगवान, आओ आओ हे भगवान, तुम हो परम कृपा के सागर। तुम हो परम कृपा के सागर। तुम हो गुण मंदिर नटनागर। तुम हो गुण मंदिर नटनागर। तुम हो सत्य सनातन स्वामी। तुम हो सत्य सनातन स्वामी। घट घट वासी अंतर्यामी। घट घट वासी अंतर्यामी। आओ आओ हे भगवान।
So now that we are familiar with the lyrics of the bhajan and also have learned how to sing it, but for those of us who are keen students of music and would love to play this in our musical instruments, maybe we would love to know the technical structure of this bhajan. We would love to know the swaras that make this bhajan. And Brother Anirudh is here to help us understand what, in his perspective, is the way this composition has been gifted to Girijabai Madam. So Anirudh, please tell us what are your thoughts on the makeup of this bhajan?
Sairam Vishu.
Sairam.
This wonderful bhajan, I think the tune, the lyrics, it's so gifted to her that you really feel like calling out to Bhagavan, and the way the tune is given for Aao Aao Hey Bhagawan. So the emotion of calling out to Bhagavan is perfectly put in the bhajan. I would say that. And also the lyrics are so profound. Sarva Jeevan ke Kalyan, Aao Aao Hey Bhagawan. तुम हो परम कृपा के सागर, तुम हो गुण मंदिर नटनागर, तुम हो सत्य सनातन स्वामी, घट घट वासी अंतर्यामी. And the tune of this bhajan is based on the rag Miyan Ki Malhar in the Hindustani classical music. Probably listeners can make out the similarity in the bhajans between this and Prathama Sharana Gananayaka. And there is one beautiful Krishna bhajan. Ghana Ghana Neela Vadana Ati Sundara Giridhara Nagar Kunja Vihari. So all this are based on Miyan Ki Malhar. Though some of the notes are taken from the rag, the main rag Darbari as well. Miyan Ki Malhar has a very unique way of the progression of the notes. Saripa. When I sing Saripa, I am reminded of the song Marare. The same notes. Giridhar Gopala Dusrana Koya Dusrana Koya Dusrana Koya Sada Sakal Lok Joya Dusrana Koya Marare Giridhar Gopala. It is a wonderful, soulful Meera song based on this raga. So, Sari Pa Ga Ma Ni Da Ni Sa Sa Ni Pa Ma Pa Ga Ma Ma Re Sa.
Beautiful. Just like we know Mother Meera never thought about Miyan Ki Malhar when she was singing. She was just calling out to Krishna, and I think it was perhaps a Meera moment for the devotee, just calling out to Bhagawan, asking him to come, longing for his presence, and seeing Bhagawan in every person, in everything. And I think, and these swaras just flowed in to facilitate her devotion, her expression. So let's get into the flow. Tell us more about the swaras that make every line of this bhajan.
Yeah, so let's start with the first line. Aao Aao Hey Bhagawan, Sasani Pama Pagama Nidani Nisa.
Sasani Pama Pagama Nidani Nisa.
Sarva Jeevan ke Kalyan, Sasari Ri Ri Sari Ga Ga Ma Ri Sa Sa.
Sasari Ri Ri Sari Ga Ga Ma Ri Sa Sa.
Aao Aao Hey Bhagawan, sa sa ni pa ma pa ga ma ni da ni ni sa.
Sa sa ni pa ma pa ga ma ni da ni ni sa.
तुम हो परम कृपा के सागर गमनी दनी सा 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 नि सरि नि सा सा सा
गमनी धनी सा 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 नि सरि नि सा सा सा.
तुम हो गुण मंदिर नटनागर नि सरि रि रि सरि गा गा म रि सा सा
नि सरि रि रि सरि गा गा म रे सा सा.
तुम हो सत्य सनातन स्वामी नी 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 म प नि सरि नि सा सा सा
नी 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 म प नि सरि नि सा सा सा.
घट घट वासी अंतर्यामी पस सरि सनि पमा गमनि दनि नि सा.
पस सरि सनि पमा गमनि धनि नि सा. So that really gives us a comprehensive idea of the raga on which this bhajan is based. And let's move on to the next significant aspect of tala of this bhajan. So what is the beat of this bhajan, Anirudh?
So the beat of this bhajan is the regular 8 beat or aditalam or keherva, what we call in the Carnatic or Hindustani music. So the count is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. आओ आओ हे भगवान
आओ आओ हे भगवान
सर्व जीवन के कल्याण
सर्व जीवन के कल्याण
आओ आओ हे भगवान
आओ आओ हे भगवान.
One important thing to note while singing the lines of bhajan, the beat of this bhajan is an 8 beat, but when we take the lines, when we sing the lines of this bhajan, so when we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, आओ आओ हे भगवान, all the lines start after the 1. So if we count as 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, सर्व जीवन के कल्याण, 2, 3, 4, 1, आओ आओ हे भगवान.
So with that, we are done with the technical aspects of the bhajan, the raga and the beat. Thank you so much, Anirudh and Prabhakar.
Thank you, brother. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, brother.
Now that we are familiar with the way the bhajan flows, let us focus on what the bhajan conveys. Let's take every line of this bhajan one by one and understand what is its significance. The first line.
आओ आओ हे भगवान.
Aao Aao Hey Bhagawan. Aao means please come. Hey is a manner of endearingly calling out to someone. Aao Aao Hey Bhagawan means we are calling out lovingly to the dear Lord who is hailed as Bhagawan. Swami explains that in the word Bhagavan, Bha stands for Shrishti or creation, Ga connotes protection, Sthiti, and Va means Layam or mergence. So Bhagavan is the one who holds these three ultimate powers: power of creation, the power of preservation, and the power of dissolution. Swami in fact declares This indeed is the subtle reality of my person. Bha also means light or splendor. So Bhagavan is one who sheds and spreads light. He is Jyoti Swarupa. He is that embodiment of light, the most effulgent one. Since he illumines all beings and all things everywhere at all times, he is called as Bhagavan. There's an interesting incident that happened in the life of Mr. Bharat Dutt, an alumnus of Bhagavan's college. He joined Swami school for his 11th grade. Later on, he completed his graduation and post-graduation here too. But what he experienced then, in the initial years of becoming a Sai student, is very revealing.
The first very profound lesson I remember I learned from him is his omniscience. He knew everything, secrets which my mother never knew about or even could not think of knowing. I used to have this thought coming up in my mind quite frequently that Swami is a great man but not God. And the thought would be, how can you define God? And how can he be God? If he was God, he would not be on earth. Those kind of thoughts were coming. They were not coming from my heart because my heart believed he was the Lord himself. But
there were these doubts.
There were these doubts creeping up once in a while. One day, my family was called for interview in the room. And as is the norm, we were called in the inner interview room. And after speaking to everybody, he asked my brother and my parents to leave and asked me to stay back, which is not the norm. So I was quite stressed out. I didn't know why that was happening. And I was sitting at his feet and doing Pad Seva, and he was just looking at me and staring at me. And I was quite uncomfortable because...
You don't know what he's up to.
Yes. What was he planning, or why has he asked me to stay back? And then he looked at me and he said in Hindi, "Tum sochta hai Swami Bhagawan nahi hai." You are thinking that Swami is not the universal Lord himself. And immediately I denied it. I said, no, Swami, how can that be? I can never say that. He says, nahi, Swami ko sab kuch malum. Swami knows everything. And then he waved his right hand and he created this photograph. And the photograph was basically the last day of my 10th grade, where I played hooky from school. Here we call it, we bunked school. We bunked school. And me and my best friend, we were smoking a cigarette behind a movie theater.
So he created that photograph.
And he showed me the photograph. And that photograph conveyed to me the essence of his omniscience, because it really struck a chord in my heart and made me understand who I was dealing with. This was a universal Lord, and I was just being stupid, even thinking of questioning him. And it wiped out all my doubts. And also I felt a lot of gratitude, because there is no reason why he should do this for a silly little individual like me. But he did make that effort. So I was very grateful that he did that.
So that is the indelible experience of Mr. Bharat Dutt. And we know why the Lord is hailed as Bhagavan. And in this line, Aao Aao Hey Bhagawan, we call out to him, we call out to that universal Lord to come into our presence. Let's move on to the next line.
Sarva Jeevan ke Kalyan.
Sarva Jeevan ke Kalyan. Sarva means all. Jeevana is individuals, all souls. K is of, and Kalyan means welfare. So it means Bhagavan is indeed the Lord who takes care of the welfare of all the beings. A group of 60 devotees from Guwahati in Assam had arrived in Prasanthi Nilayam for Bhagavan's birthday in the year 1972. Swami granted them a special audience in the Bhajan hall and also addressed them briefly. After that, he gave them Vibhuti Prasadam with his own hands. And even as he was doing this, Swami gave 2 additional packets of Vibhuti to a girl named Lucky in the group. And as he gave these packets, Swami said, "This is for your cat." Everyone in the group was pretty surprised at what Bhagavan said. But this girl instantly started crying. 6 months before, on a rainy day in Guwahati, Lucky had saved a kitten from drowning in a city drain. She took it home, much to the disgust of her older sister, who was a staff nurse in the local hospital. But Lucky took special care of this kitten, and days passed by, and one day the kitten took away a good bite of fish from the kitchen meant for some guests. And the older sister was furious at this and started shouting at Lucky. Lucky in turn passed on her frustration onto the kitten, and she started caning the kitten with a big stick till the poor creature yelled in pain bitterly. But when the cat started crying in pain, suddenly there was a big noise. 16 garlanded pictures of Bhagawan fell on the floor with a thud. The sisters thought maybe some earthquake had occurred. In fact, there were some guests in the home. They all ran out of the house for safety. It was such a harrowing noise. But after some time, seeing that there was nothing like that, everyone came in. But they were surprised to see that only Bhagwan's pictures had fallen on the ground. And that is when the older sister immediately realized what had gone wrong. And Lucky understood why that incident had happened. It was meant only for her to stop hurting the kitten. Now both the sisters were in tears, and when they saw the kitten, which was now on the table, she just shook her coat in relief. But when she did that, Vibhuti started sprinkling from her body all over, and it was so fragrant, as if Vibhuti from Prasanthi Nilayam had come to their home. And this had happened 6 months prior to Lucky was with Bhagawan in the interview room, and now Swami is telling while giving the Vibhuti, this is for your cat. This is the reason we adore him as Bhagawan, as the one who is Sarva Jeevan ke Kalyan, who takes care of all the being all the time. Let's move on to the next line.
Aao Aao Hey Bhagawan.
We repeat the first line here, Aao Aao Hey Bhagawan. In the Bhagavata Vahini, Bhagavan clearly explains why an avatar incarnates. Swami says, people believe that incarnations of God happen only for 2 reasons, the punishment of the wicked and for the protection of the righteous. But these, Swami said, represent only one aspect of the task. The granting of peace and joy and a sense of fulfillment to the seekers who long for the Lord is also the task for which the Lord incarnates. In fact, the avatar comes down in a concrete form because of the yearning of the seekers. It is the solidified sweetness of the devotion of godly aspirant that is the form of the avatar. The cow secretes milk for the sustenance of the calf. The calf is the chief beneficiary, but Swami says there are others also who benefit from that milk. Similarly, it is the devotees who are the prime cause. Their joy and their sustenance is a reason why the Lord comes down. Everything else that happens is subsidiary. They are all incidental benefits. Fostering of dharma, suppression of evil, overcoming of the wicked, they are all offshoots of the yearning of the devotees. Offshoots of the avatar deciding to take a form, but the avatar comes only to be with the devotees. And in this line, we pray to the Lord to come to us and to be with us. Let's move on to the next line.
तुम हो परम कृपा के सागर.
तुम हो परम कृपा के सागर. Tuम ho means you are. Parama is supreme. Krupa is grace. Sagar means ocean. You are the ocean of mercy. On January 26, 2001, a devastating earthquake struck Bhuj, a city in the state of Gujarat, destroying 40% of homes, 8 schools, 2 hospitals, 4 kilometers of roads and many historic forts and buildings. Bhagavan immediately sent from Prasanthi Nilayam tons of supplies with detailed instructions about how they should be distributed, how all these people should be taken care of. And even as this was happening, the students in the hostel wanted to do something for the marooned, and they indeed did something beautiful. They collected old clothes and they sent truckloads to Gujarat to help these distraught people. But when Bhagawan came to know of this, Swami was seemingly displeased. Swami said, old clothes? When I am sending tons of new clothes, how can my students think of sending them old clothes? Which means you don't think of them as part of you. Whenever Bhagavan did any seva, it was always to show us how we should never ever feel anything different from the person who is being served. Seva should be done with that spirit. Bhagavan did every seva and demonstrated to us. And that is why he is Parama Krupa ke Sagar. He is that ocean of mercy. Let's move on to the line which describes him as Guna Mandir Natanagar.
तुम हो गुण मंदिर नटनागर.
Guna is virtue, Mandir is temple. So we are hailing the Lord as the embodiment of all good virtues. At the tender age of 3 or 4, young Satya behaved as if he had a heart that melted at human suffering. Whenever a beggar appeared at the door and raised his cry, Satya left off play and rushed in to force his sisters to dole out some grain or food. The adults were naturally irritated by the endless procession of outstretched hands at their home. Sometimes they lost temper. Sometimes they shouted even the beggar off because they didn't have enough means for themselves. But when they did that, little Satya would cry, would weep so long and hard and loud that only by bringing the dismissed beggar back could the sisters stop his wailing. There were times when, in order to put a stop to what the elders thought was expensive and misplaced charity, the mother caught hold of little Satya and with a finger raised in warning, she said, "Look here, you may give them food, but mind you, you will have to starve." But that did not daunt the child. He used to run inside and bring out food for the hungry person at the door and happily stay away from dinner or lunch himself. Nothing and nobody could persuade him to come to his plate, which was left untouched. Every chapter in the life of Bhagavan is nothing but an elaboration of how he is the abode of all sacred virtues. And that is what is conveyed in this line. We move on to the next line.
तुम हो सत्य सनातन स्वामी.
Tum ho Satya Sanatana Swami. Satya means truth. Sanatana refers to the one who is eternal. Swami means master or lord. In Satyam Shivam Sundaram Bhagavan's biography, Professor Kasturi writes, the baby was named Satyanarayana since the relationship between the puja to that god and the realization of the mother's cherished desire seemed to be very important. When the Namakaranam, the naming ceremony, was performed, Bhagavan, as baby, smiled when Satyanarayana was whispered in his ear when he was an infant. That suggestion, Professor Kasturi says, definitely emanated not from the people around Swami, but from Swami himself. Could the embodiment and the exponent of truth be given any other name other than truth? There was once an interesting dialogue between Nisargadatta Maharaj, a well-known realized soul, and his disciple. The disciple was a devotee of Bhagavan. He frequently visited Prasanthi Nilayam. So one evening while serving Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj, he humbly submitted, "Maharaj, who is Sri Sathya Sai Baba?" And the Guru asked him, "What does Baba say about himself?" And this disciple said, "Maharaj, Baba has revealed that he is the reincarnation of Sai Baba of Shirdi." Then the Guru continued, "When did Shirdi Baba shed his mortal coil?" And the disciple said, 1918. Then he asked, "When did Sri Sathya Sai Baba make his advent?" 1926, he replied. Then Sri Nisargadatta Ji finally said, "Baba is what he was between 1918 and 1926. He is that cosmic consciousness. He is that eternal principle. He is that controller of time. He is that truth which has been there, which is there, and which will always be there. That is the Lord we sing to and adore in this line, Tumaho Satya Sanatana Swami, the eternal master of all. We move on to the next line.
Ghat Ghat Vasi Antaryami.
Ghat Ghat Vasi Antaryami. Ghat Ghat means in every place, in every being. Vasi means the one who resides. Another meaning of Ghat Ghat Vasi is where Ghat refers to a pot. Our physical body is taken to be a pot. So every being is a pot, and in every being there is the Lord. Antaryami means indweller. There was a certain Norwegian engineer named Tideman. When he took leave of Baba to proceed to Bangladesh and take up a project at Chittagong Harbour, which was being extensively rebuilt, Bhagawan created a ring and put it on his index finger, on the index finger of his right hand. 6 months later, Tideman came to Bhagawan's bungalow at Vrindavan, Whitefield. Bhagawan spotted him there and asked him, "Where is the ring?" Tideman was ashamed of himself at that moment because he had lost the ring. So he just looked down and he said, "Swami, I lost it." Swami asked, "Where?" He said, "While at Chittagong, I was coming down a rope along the hull of a ship and the ring fell into the river." Bhagavan again asked, "When?" He said, "February 23rd, Swami." So that had happened 3 months prior to that day. But the moment he mentioned that, Swami waved his hand in the air and everyone saw Swami clasp something dropping from his fingers. Swami held it between his 2 fingers and it was a ring. In everyone's mind, there was this question, was it the same ring? In fact, Dr. Bhagwantam, who was with Bhagavan, could not hold his curiosity and even asked, is it really exactly the same ring which fell into the river? And Swami turned towards him and said, "Why? Your faith is not firm yet?" And Tideman rose and touched the feet of Bhagavan. Swami placed on his outstretched palm the ring with the words, "Yes, yes, it is the same. It fell into my hands. I am in that river. I am everywhere. My eyes, my ears, my face are everywhere. I remain enveloping all." Professor Kasturi, as he writes this incident, says, "That evening we heard the assertion of the Upanishad once again, demonstrating that Bhagavan has come in a form, in the most beautiful form, to remove the wheel of doubt from our retrograde retinas." Ghat Ghat Vasi Antaryami. He is the one who resides everywhere in every being, animate or inanimate. He is our conscience. He is the one who eternally is with us at all times. So that is the meaning of this final line. And as you see, this whole bhajan has very beautiful way of adoring Swami and calling out to him with the prayer that he is the one who is within us, who is around us, who is eternally in every speck of this universe. Let's now move on to the last lap of this classroom. We will listen to the Prasanthi Mandir version of this bhajan.
Aao Aao Hey Bhagawan. Aao Aao Hey Bhagawan. Aao Aao Hey Bhagawan. Aao Aao Hey Bhagawan. सर्व जीवन के कल्याण, सर्व जीवन के कल्याण, वासी अंतर्यामी घट घट वासी अंतर्यामी घट घट वासी अंतर्यामी